everyone, Phil from Tech for Techs here. Today we're going to be looking at this. It is a Be Quiet Silent Bass 601. What it basically is, it is a silent case or a Be Quiet case, exactly as the brand name is. This one has got a glass window on the side. They do also do a version what doesn't have a glass window on the side, depending on your preferences. But the whole idea of this case is it's a big case, it's well built, and it's very quiet. But we're going to have a look and see if it is actually very quiet and what makes it so quiet, as well as what other features does it have. The Silent Bass 601, it has a window on the side. There is also a version what doesn't have the window on the side, and each of those versions come with either an orange sort of trim on the front around the vents, or you can have it in black or grey on these, but the case itself will be black. Some of the features include noise dampening vents, which provide excellent air ventilation as well as maximum silence. Extra thick insulation mats of 10mm on the front, top and the sides. A 3-step fan controller caters for up to 3 different fans. A power supply shroud and a smart hard drive slot covers provide neat interior. Ready for radiators up to 360mm. The side panel is made of tinted and tempered glass. Comes with a 3-year manufacturer warranty. And the product conception, design and quality control is in Germany. Bear in mind, it doesn't say that it was built in Germany. The recommended retail price for this, or the one with the window, is £122.99, and the non-window version is £109.99, so it's £109.99. So obviously that depends on which you prefer, window or not. You've got an option for both, but if you're wanting that tempered glass window, it does cost you a little bit more. Okay, so let's have a look at this case and see what we've actually got. As you can see, you've got the glass side window here, which does have some plastic on it already to keep it nice and tidy, so we'll peel that off. There you go. I know some of you can find that satisfying. So you've got the tempered side glass, you've got aluminium front, aluminium top, aluminium side. You have got plastic around the corners which do match in with the aluminium. And then you've got these vents which you do have the different colours. This one's got orange, but you do have options of black and grey as well. So that's the vent, what will be sucking the air in. We'll have a look at that in a few minutes. So on the front you have got a switch to adjust the fan speeds if you want for up to, I think it was 3 fans it said. So you can have it on quiet, medium or fast. You've got a standard USB 2 port, you've got headphone and microphone, you've got your power button which is there, you've got 2 lights. I'm guessing one of those is your power light, hard drive light, and one's the power light. And then you've got 2 USB 3.0 ports on the front as well. Otherwise, on the front, there's not much else to see apart from at the bottom, you can actually pull out, which is nice and handy, the whole of the bottom ventilation. So you can actually clean that off with ease and slide it, I'm hoping, back in easily. Yeah, how easy was that? So that's very good. I like how you can clean the vents out on that one. You don't have to turn it upside down and mess around or anything like that, or struggle at the back. Also on the top, it does have a slight ridged effect near the top here. On the back of the case itself, you can see all the holes cut out for all the airflow and everything like that. So there's ventilation at the top. You've also got there your fan as well, so that's pre-installed. Obviously that's where your motherboard goes, and you put your I/O plate there, and then you've got your PCI Express there, as well as a vertical selection there as well. So if you wanted to position your graphics card vertically, you can do. And then your power supply goes in there. You put it in by taking these 4 thumb screws out, and then basically attaching that to the power supply and pushing it back in, and screwing it in obviously. And on this side there's not much to see, it's just a plain sheet. Now if you've noticed, there is no thumb screws holding in the side panels, so you're probably wondering, how the hell do I get those side panels off? Well, the basics is, there's a little push button up here. You press that button, you'll hear a little click, and the side will pull off. Bingo. Simple as that. How easy is that, and how do not a lot more manufacturers put a simple device like that on, especially in the case of this value, rather than putting loads of thumb screws everywhere, which can actually obviously mess with the look. And it also allows the side panel to be more flush with the case as well, so that is pretty good. And again, the other side panel, again, push button and then just push and it basically comes off. Well, he says it's just comes off. This one has been a bit of a pain. There we go. Not sure why it didn't want to come off there. Let's push it back on and try that again. Press the button, pull. Comes straight off that time. You probably just have to do it from the centre, otherwise it's going to cause issues. Inside the box you do have a manual that tells you about all the bits. And inside the case you also have a box which I'm guessing has got all your extras in there, like your screws and so forth. So yeah, you've got screws in there and some cable tie velcros in there as well. And this looks like a hard drive bay. Yeah, and that is the hard drive caddy there as well, so you can install that if you so wish. Okay, continuing to look at the inside of the case. This bit here, the front panel, does come off. You just push it up and it pops out. And there you can see your sound dampening on the inside. So it is quite thick. I think it is about a centimetre thick, so 10mm as they have stated, which is good, but that doesn't mean there's no air gets through this bit. The air comes through these vents on the side, so hard to say how much air it does intake. I'm guessing it'll be a good amount because they don't look impeded too much. So the air comes in sort of there and then comes through there and then through there. But again, with any case, what is silent, it's not going to be as high performance as obviously a case which is designed to be high performance. Same reason you don't get a budget car which is extremely fast. So it does also have a fan built in there as well, so you can get to that. And this front panel here, your mesh does come out for cleaning easily as well, so you could remove it or permanently if you didn't want it there, but it sort of defeats the object of having it. So, and that'll just clip back in. But as you can see, that's where you would mount more fans if you wanted to, or even potentially a rad for your water cooling system. And push it back in. You're going to line it up correctly first. There we go, and click. Okay, so that looks pretty good and pretty easy. On the inside, the only other thing what I've seen which is coloured, other than those orange bits at the front, is your cable tidy holes here. There's 3 of them. They're quite big, put most of your cables through. Again, if you're not wanting orange colour, I'm presuming that the black version of the case, these bits are black. It doesn't say on the paperwork I've got if they are or not, but I'm presuming they would be. Same with the grey version. Otherwise, if you're having, let's just say, green LED lights in there with an orange, may look a little bit off, but who knows. So that's pretty good. There is a bay here, what does pop out, if I can get it popping out. There we go. So that bit there, that covers up the area where you would have your hard drives and so forth underneath. And you can remove that bit as well, which would then allow you to put your radiator all the way down from top to bottom. And I'm guessing that's where you would fit your 360mm radiator across the front. So that's pretty good, and it's nice how it sort of just clips on and covers it up, and it helps protect dust get into areas as well as helps the airflow. Okay, you have also got the shroud here which goes over the power supply, which some people like them, some people don't. If you've got a glass side case, it's probably good. If you haven't, it doesn't really matter too much because you're not going to see it anyway. But the idea is it's going to basically make it so you can't see all the nasty cables coming out of your power supply, which has been known sometimes to increase the actual temperature inside the machine a bit because it doesn't have as well ventilation and so forth. But again, that's one of those disputed things which some people will say it's better or not, but I think it's really down to the way the case fans are laid out. A lot of the times it does have a mesh top where the power supply is, so you can get plenty of fresh air in there as well anyway, so that is good. The hard drives, there is a bay at the bottom on the back you can get to, basically free from screws. Just undo those and it slides out, and in there you can fit your hard drives if you're wanting, which is pretty good. And then you just fit them in there, slide it back in, and then cable it up, which is good. And then obviously you've got to screw it back in and so forth. But if you didn't want that bay there, you don't have to, or you want to add another hard drive in, this is where the extra bay comes in handy. You basically remove, let's say this one, you remove this bay here, which isn't the easiest things to get out usually. You're supposed to squeeze and pull. Now you can also add your hard drives in here. So basically you have to take this bit out first by squeezing and pulling from the other side, so it leaves sort of it looks like a gap in the casing. And then basically you fit your hard drive in there, and then you can slide it in and screw it in there. And that allows the hard drive then to be what we call a floating hard drive, so it's floating halfway up the case. Now there is room for 5 of those in the case, but unfortunately they only support one drive, or should I say ship with one of these floating drive bays. So the problem with that is if you want to add more drives, you've got to buy more of these, and I'm not sure exactly how much they are, but from what I recall seeing online, they're going to be around about 10 quid each. So if you wanted to add all these extra drives to the machine, you could be looking at an extra 50 quid on top of the price. But it is a good idea, but it's if you buy a case, you don't really want to have to be going out there and buying extras for it. It's like getting a DLC for a game or whatever. Okay, it's going to add more features to it, but when you go out and buy the case for new, you don't really want to spend an extra £50 on a case which is already over £100 anyway. And as you can see, these things don't always click back in with ease. Another interesting point is at the top of the case you have got the best way of putting it is like a drawer where you can add on a water cooler, or at least should I say the radiator. You had to take 2 screws out, so it's not totally screwless, unfortunately, unlike most of the rest of the case. But once you've done that, you can slide that bit out, and then you can attach your radiator onto there and then basically slide it back in, so it's easy to get in and out. And obviously there's no screw holes on top of the case, so it's a good design. But the catch is with that, there's pretty much no ventilation on top of the case. There's probably these little gaps there, and the rest of the air is going to have to come out here. So if you've got a water cooler, specifically something what's 360mm long, that's quite a big water cooler for just really the airflow to be coming out of these little gaps here and here. It's a little bit strange, to be honest with you. It's as if they're saying, yeah, put high performance stuff in here, but then they're not giving you the airflow to get the stuff out. And that's where usually we have issues with cases like this. They're designed for being quiet, and then they want you to put high-end stuff in it, and high-end stuff in quiet cases don't really go together too well, to be honest. You're probably better with a case, a high-end case, what's got high airflow, and just setting it so the fans run slower, and it'll probably end up being roughly around about the same volume anyway. But again, it's one of those things. Another thing regarding the volume, you do have obviously this sound padding. It's again across the top here, across the front as we said, and it's across the back side panel. But if you go for the glass variation of this case, you are not getting any sound dampening on the glass side, which again defeats the object of having a quiet case. If you're going to have a quiet case, you have it without a glass panel on the side. Otherwise, you're losing 40% of your basically sound dampening. what's the point in that? It just doesn't make sense to me. It's like, do you have a really nice looking case, or do you have a quiet case? Both of them together don't generally go well together. Okay, it's have a one or the other. You can have a high performance case what looks really good inside. Don't get me wrong, you can make this look good inside, but if you're losing 40% of the sound dampening, then it's not really a silent case as such, really, is it? Another thing I would like to have seen, if it is supposed to be a silent case, is on these bays here, which is obviously where you put your PCI Express cards in, like your graphics card and stuff like that, where it's vertical, which is nice that they've included a vertical option, or the traditional way. But the catch is, there's no dampening on those. It would have been nice to have some dampening across the actual each one, which I've seen in other cases before, because that means obviously all the noise, rather than coming out the sides, is going to be coming out of the back, which again is another one of those things. So yeah, it's going to be quieter than a normal case, but it's designed for high performance, which sort of contradicts itself, to be honest with you. Let's have a look at the back panel. So you can see here, obviously that's where your power supply is going to be going, which is pretty straightforward. There is lots of cable in areas where you can put cables through, all the way down here. These are nice where it's rubber down there, but the other ones are not, so you can also go under here as well. So cabling, yeah, there's a lot of room, and it's quite deep as well. You've got a good couple centimetres there, but bear in mind, once you put your side panel back on, because of how thick the sound dampening is, it's going to really push your cables into the case. Okay, so if you put that back on, there isn't much room for your cables, and you can actually see here with the cables it comes with where they've marked the padding because the cable's pushed against the padding. And obviously if you've got cables pushing against that, it's going to leave marks on the padding, which might not be a big deal, but it's one of those things, is it is going to push your cables in a little bit. But you'll probably find that's one of the reasons why they want you to put the case on the side the way it is, because if you try to put it on the traditional route, you'd struggle pushing it together, especially when you're doing it like this. You're sort of pushing it into place rather than putting something sliding across and then ripping all the cables out. So, but it will make it a bit tight around there, and it's going to be hard to see on camera, but if you put your hands in there, there is a bit of room behind. There's probably only a finger's width worth of room for your cabling, so it is a bit tight in there, so make sure you make it nice and neat and tidy. Okay, another thing is the cabling in here. So it's not too bad. You've got a SATA cable there, that's to power the controller for the fans, and you've got an extra fan connection there to add in an extra fan, but it will only let you add in 3-pin fans and not 4-pin fans, which is another thing. It's easy enough to wire them up to take one or take both. So I'm not sure why they haven't done that. I know they're probably wanting to use the same type of fans what are on here, which both of them are the Pure Wing 2s, which are Be Quiet Zone's fans. The rest of the cabling though, and this is one of my pet peeves, which I hate in case, especially with windows on the side, is why do you have a USB header and an audio header which are not fully black on the end? They have got your sachet packets or rainbow colours all on the end, they're not covered up. I see budget cases doing this, where they actually cover the whole of the area in black. Why can't you do it on a £100 and over case? It's not acceptable, I'm sorry. If you've got a nice colour-coded machine, it's all black inside with highlights and stuff, last thing you need is these multicoloured cables sticking up when you've got them plugged into your different ports. It looks cheap and you're cutting corners. That needs to be fully black in any case what has got a side window on it. If it hadn't got a side window, then you can get away with it because no one's going to see inside. But sorry, that is unacceptable. What we're going to do is check the airflow, and out of coincidence, if you hear lots of blowing noises, that's not anything to do with this test, it is extremely windy outside at the moment. But as you can see here, this is basically generating house smoke. We're going to see how much air this takes in. The basics is the machine has been set up with a basic i5 processor. It's a 9600K. You've got 16 gig of RGB memory, a GeForce 1060 graphics card. It's got a 400 watt Power 9 Be Quiet power supply, so it's pretty bog standard, nothing over the top. We've not added any extra fans. The only fans extra is the ones on the actual air cooler which is in there, which is the Dark Rock Slim, and obviously the graphics card also has 2 fans on there as well, which aren't actually operating at the moment because we're not running any real tests. But basics is we're going to see how much air this takes in, and we're going to give this a comparison view of some other cases as well, so you can see what a case with good airflow does and what a case with bad airflow does. So here we go. So this smoke, if the airflow was good, would be getting sucked all the way in the front of this case. Don't get me wrong, it's taking a bit in, but not a huge amount. The case is currently set to quiet mode, or fan speed 1. If we up it to fan speed 3, I'm not even going to bother with 2, yes, it takes a little more, but in all honesty, pretty little. You can see there's not a lot of air getting sucked into that at all. At the top, it's not taking any air in at the top. It may be blowing the air out slightly at the top. You can see where the fans are blowing the air out. So there's quite a bit of a airflow there. But that's the air coming out. So there's basically one fan chucking all the airflow out of there. The intake on the front isn't very good at all. Okay, testing the decibel levels, we can see here with the fans on full speed, measuring it from roughly the side where the glass is, we're getting around about 50 decibels. When I put the fan speed down to 1, it's dropping down to about 48, 49, so there is a little bit difference, only a couple of decibels between low and high. The catch is though, if you have got the fans on full, if you measure the decibel levels at the back, they're about 53, 54 decibels, which goes to show what I was saying before. There is no dampening on the back, so all the noise is coming out this side. There's also no dampening on the glass, so again, it's a bit pointless having glass on a silent case, because, as I've said, you're not getting the proper cooling. It's as if they didn't know what they wanted when they made this case. It's called the Be Quiet Silent Bass 601. Catches they've got a side window which removes some of the sound dampening. Obviously they do have the version with without the window, which obviously has a sound dampening, but then you've basically got 2 cases which are different because they've got a different amount of sound dampening and they're going to test completely different. On top of that, they've made it so you can put big radiators in. Brilliant. But then the ventilation is that small on there. It's a bit pointless having those big radiators on there because the airflow isn't going to get through. The front has got a bit of airflow, it is minimal, but again, they've sort of made a case which is supposed to look really good on the inside, be for high performance machines, but the airflow isn't really good enough for a high performance machine. But then they've made it silent as well, so it's sort of a contradiction in itself. Yeah, you can have high performance quiet machines, which that would be fine if it was the case what hadn't got a glass window on it. But when you put a glass window on it, it sort of defeats the whole object of it being silent, because you're removing 40% of the sound dampening, which, come on, really, it's supposed to be a quiet case. Why do that? And also at the back of the glass there is a little bit of a gap as well, so there's also air coming out of there. There's no dampening on any of the back of it. So, for example, PCI Express slots and stuff like that, and the I/O plates, no dampening on there either. So any noises what are going to come out, they're going to come out of the back of the machine, rather than the front, side, top, and so forth. But still, it's as if they had a good idea and then someone says, "Oh, let's go and stick a side on it, a glass side on it, so it looks really nice," which then defeats the whole objective of the case. And then they have these multicoloured cables inside, which, if you're going to make it look nice inside, why have multicoloured cables like that? It's stupid. For your normal power cables, they're fine, they're black. But USB and audio, you've got sachet coloured cables in there. Who wants a case which, no offence, is got black all inside? Everything's black. They even may put a CPU cooler what's black. Black power supply, black graphics card, everything. And then they've got these multicoloured little cables sticking out of the audio and USB 2 headers. Looks stupid. You guys really sort these cables out and then figure out what you're wanting to do with the case. Yes, it's a good case. A good build quality. But putting a glass side on it, it's like making a transit van convertible. You might as well just gone out and bought a pickup.